Hello friends, this is Swapnil. Welcome to the channel NetKingIT. In today's video, we are going to discuss about public subnet and private subnet. So let's have a look at the definition of the public subnet and private subnet. The public subnet in AWS that has a direct route to an internet gateway in its route table. Okay, and in private subnet that does not have direct route to an internet gateway in its route table. Let me show you quickly with the help of diagram. If you see in this diagram, let me quickly explain to you. The outer orange box is nothing but the region. Inside this region, we have green box, which is a VPC, and we have mentioned the CIDR for this VPC. It's 10.10.0.0/16. We created subnets from this CIDR. We have assigned one subnet to public subnet 10.10.1.0. Then there is another public subnet which we created inside the AZ2, which is 10.10.2.0/24. And the private subnet in AZ1 is 10.10.3.0/24. And the private subnet inside AZ2 is 10.10.4.0/24. So public subnet is associated with this public route table. If you see this arrow, means these two subnets are associated with this route table, and the private subnets are associated with this private route table. So there are two route tables I have mentioned. The first point is route to internet gateway. So in public subnet, yes, there is a route towards the internet gateway. In a private subnet, there is no route towards the internet gateway. If you see here, this public subnet associated to this route table, which has the default route towards the internet gateway. Okay, this public subnet is associated with this route table, and this route table has the default route towards the internet gateway, means towards this internet gateway. Okay, hence we call this subnet as a public subnet. Okay. So the next point is internet outbound access and internet inbound access. With the help of diagram, let me explain you internet outbound and internet inbound. So to understand the outbound and inbound direction, let me give you one example, and first we will talk about the public subnet. Okay, so whenever we create any machine inside the public subnet, it will get assigned one public IP address. There are two ways. It will auto assign one public IP, or there is an option that we can assign, or we can create one elastic IP and we can attach to this machine. Okay, but in a public subnet, public IP is a must. Okay, we should have public IP to the machine inside the public subnet. Okay, then second thing, the route table which this public subnet is associated with this route table. This route table should have route towards the internet gateway like this. Okay, these two things are mandatory for the public subnet. Now we will discuss about the outbound internet access. Outbound internet access means this machine, let's say this is the Microsoft server, and this server want to download some patches from the Microsoft.com. Then this server will try to access the Microsoft.com. So the request will come from this server towards this route table. Okay, and the source IP of this machine will be the public IP address. Okay, and then this, it will check in the route table. If there is a route towards the internet gateway, it will send this packet or this traffic towards the internet gateway, and from internet gateway it will go out towards the Microsoft.com. Okay, and it will get the patch download. Okay, So the direction, if you see, from machine to the internet to access the Microsoft.com, hence we call it outbound. Okay, this is outbound direction. Now we will discuss about the inbound direction. So for inbound direction, let me give you another example. Let's say there is one user sitting at home. From user home over the home internet, user is trying to access the server which is inside the public subnet. Okay, so the traffic which is coming from internet to access the server inside the public subnet, we called it inbound direction. Okay, so this is the inbound direction because the traffic coming in, okay, from outside to inside, hence we call it inbound. It is inbound direction. I hope you understand so far. So let me quickly read this note. Public IP addresses are required for direct bidirectional communication on the internet because they are globally unique and routable, unlike private IP addresses used in a local network. So as I said, the public IP address is must to communicate over the internet, right? So the machine inside the public subnet which has the public IP address and there is a default route towards internet gateway in its route table, then there is a bidirectional internet traffic is possible. Means the outbound traffic to the internet and the inbound traffic from internet to the server. Okay, both is possible in a public subnet. Hope you understand so far. Let's move on to private subnet. Okay, in case of private subnet, if you see, there is no public IP assigned. So whenever we create any machine inside the private subnet, it will not assign any public IP to this machine. It will always have only the private IP address. Okay, so with the help of private IP, we cannot access the internet. Let me read this statement. Private IP cannot access the internet directly. They rely on network address translation, we call it NAT, on a router to map to a single public IP to browse the web or any URL over the internet. So what does it mean? The best example is home internet. Okay, in our home internet, service provider provides us one router. Okay, we can say this is the our home machine and we have the home internet. We will have one router here. Okay, and this router will act as a NAT, network address translation. User machine always have the private IP addresses. Okay, if you see on your user machine or at home, you will get the private IP address. So whenever the traffic reaches on the router will do the NAT and it will send the traffic over to the internet for the access any URL over the internet. Okay, so that is the one-way direction. But no one can access your machine. Let's say someone sitting at the internet and want to access your machine, then it's not possible because but no one can access the private IP since the private IP is not routable over the internet, hence no one can access the your machine which has the private IP. Okay, I hope you understand so far. Let me relate this thing with the NAT gateway. Now let's discuss about the private subnet for inbound and outbound internet access. Okay, in private subnet, if you see, this machine has no public IP address. It has only private IP address which is belongs to this subnet. Let's take an example of, let's say this machine is a Microsoft or Windows server machine which want to access the Microsoft.com to download the patches. So from this machine, it will try to access the Microsoft.com. The traffic will come on this route table, and it will check for the route, and it, as we see, this route is towards the NAT gateway. It will go to NAT gateway. So NAT gateway will act as a router and it will do the network address translation. Okay, so what it will do, since this machine has a private IP and private IPs, with the help of private IP we cannot access the internet. Hence NAT gateway will change this IP with the public IP of the NAT gateway, and it will send this traffic towards the internet gateway to access the Microsoft.com. Okay, so we called it outbound direction. So any traffic going out from machine going out, we call it outbound direction. Okay, now let's discuss about the inbound direction. So in a NAT gateway, in a private subnet case, for an example, let's say user want to access this private subnet machine. Okay, but in this case this is not possible because in the machine inside the private subnet don't have public IP, right? Hence this user cannot access this private subnet machine from home internet. This is not possible, even though there is a NAT gateway, but NAT gateway acts as a NAT device only for the outbound direction. So from NAT gateway it is not possible to reach inside network. So this is not possible. So in a private subnet, only outbound direction traffic will go via NAT gateway to access the internet. I hope you understand. So from private subnet, with the help of NAT gateway, the traffic will go via NAT gateway to internet gateway, access the internet. Okay, and this is possible. Quick note here, please don't get confused with the public subnet and public IP addresses. Okay, so public subnet is the term in the AWS. Okay, so in simple language, the definition of public subnet is subnet which has default route towards internet gateway in its route table. We call it public subnet. Then the subnet which don't have route towards the internet gateway in its route table, we call it private subnet. That's it. That's the definition of the public subnet and private subnet. But in terms of public IP address, means this is a public IP. Let me quickly show you public IP addresses. Let's search for the public IP range and private IP range in a Google search box. These are the public IP addresses which are globally unique, and those are routable over the internet. Okay, the private IP ranges, these are the majorly used class A, class B, class C. The private IP ranges are private, those are not advertised over the internet. Okay, if you see the public IP is globally unique, assigned by ISP, used for internet access, right? And the private IP is used within the home offices, not on the internet, translated to a single IP by router to access the internet. I hope you understand so far. If you think that you need more detailed explanation on the subnetting, then please mention in a comment, so I will prepare one video on subnetting part as well. In next video we will create a lab which will help us to have a more insight on this topic. I hope this video was informative for you. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe this channel. Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.